work towards united, not divided. They're preying on our emotions to divide us. If some shit went down in your neighborhood, you wouldn't ask your neighbors who they voted for. You'd just go help.
Someone told me if you took 100 black ants, put them in a jar, take 100 red ants, put them in a jar, they all get along. But if you shake that jar up, they start killing each other. And that's just how politicians do it. It's not about the ants, it's who's shaking the jar. It's got to a point where everyone has their favorite team. And no one wants to get on the winning team. It's about my favorite team. I don't care if this is good for me or not. I just love my team and I'm gonna root for my team no matter what. I'm gonna go down with the Titanic. And that's what's getting people in trouble. I just really wish people get rid of the hate. The truth hurts everyone. No one can just see facts. Sometimes you gotta accept the facts when you're wrong.
Start to see through the news and media. Like, again, I've said this before, but if politicians, the media, and Hollywood all line up on one side, you should be on the other. Because you know they're trying to do some shady shit or lead us down a path towards total control.
This is Sparta!
Welcome back to Spartan Leadership. I'm your host, Josh Kosnick, and today we got Leadership in Review, my man Emmanuel Whitfield.
Back.
Self-proclaimed greatest man alive in the studio with us. Hey, you know what to do. Make sure you're sharing these episodes. And with that being said, if this is your first time, we do leader-to-leader interviews the majority of the time. Or leader-to-leader conversations, I should say. This particular episode that we do, Leadership in Review, we're having contentious topics, contentious conversations, and showing how to come out friends still at the end like we do in the cigar lounges nationwide, where we're bonding over some tobacco. And that being said, I gave Emmanuel a Sober Mesa Brûlé Blue. I wasn't about to have him try and pronounce that.
I would never be able to pronounce that.
And I got a Tatuaje. I call these the pumpkins, but the Halloween blend.
Halloween edition.
Yeah. It's my favorite Tatuaje.
Okay.
It's a phenomenal blend, in my opinion.
I'm going to have to try one of those.
Yeah, if you can find them. They're difficult to find. So we need to be doing these episodes about 3 times a week, it seems, with how much we're being gaslit with media and controversies and wars and everything different under the sun to possibly distract us, to divide us, to do what we were meant to do in life. And in our God's purpose for our lives. So we're going to do quick hits today. We got a big episode that we're going to record in a week or two, actually 2 weeks, with a couple other friends. And we're going to talk about how they're going to start some race riots, we think, coming up here, just a little prediction. And we're going to talk through some of that, how they divide us. But today we're going to stay away from that topic as much as we'd love to get into it and hit you with some quick hits and have some dialogue around those, because there's been so much over the last month since we've been in the studio together that we got to hit a bunch of stuff. But before we get into it, man, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I heard a great quote this week. Someone told me if you took 100 black ants, put them in a jar, take 100 red ants, put them in a jar, they all get along. But if you shake that jar up, they start killing each other. And that's just how politicians do it. It's not about the ants, it's who's shaking the jar. And I thought that was very interesting. And another great quote was...
I've seen that meme or GIF or concept.
that was a good one. And another one was, in life, sometimes we feel like we're buried and everything around you is dark. So instead of feeling like you're buried, just take the mindset of being planted as a seed under the soil, and you grow from that. And I thought that was a beautiful one too. So
it is.
But
and bloom where you're planted.
That's right.
Not complain about where you're planted.
Exactly.
That is beautiful. So 2 good analogies for you today, right off the gates from Emmanuel Whitfield. All right. So our first headline, we're going to talk through the war in Israel, because last time we recorded, that wasn't even going on.
No, it wasn't.
So it's just crazy. We had the war in Ukraine. Now we got the war in Israel. And we're not going to get too much into what's going on over there because I think there's too much to be known yet.
Yeah.
And it's a very messy situation, as it always has been between Israel and Palestine. We're going to leave that alone. Here's what we do know. Here's a quote that happened in Israel, or I'm not in Israel, I'm sorry, at UCLA campus. And this is happening at campuses all over our country. So we're going to focus our conversation on what's going on in our country regarding this topic and hopefully shed some light on it and to educate some of the ignorance out there. So this was a quote and a chant going on at UCLA's campus just a week ago. Israel, Israel, you can't hide. We want a Jewish genocide. Israel, Israel, you can't hide. We want a Jewish genocide. These are students, American students, chanting some incredibly anti-Semitic words. And this, we had Palestine issues here at UW-Madison.
I didn't even hear about that.
Protesters and whatnot. In New York City, we got Palestinian Hamas supporters, sympathists, tearing down American flags and replacing them with the Palestine flag. I'll tell you this much. You come to my yard and try to tear down my American flag and replace it with any other flag for that matter. Doesn't matter if it's Palestine or any other flag. You're not walking out of that yard. If I see you, you're not walking away.
You said that's any flag, huh? 6 flags included.
Doesn't matter. You were trying to replace my American flag in my yard. You're not walking away. So, what do you got on this, E?
Yeah, it's such a tangled web. It's deep what's going on over there. I'm not going to get really deep into it. It's about being honest about the whole situation. My biggest thing is I don't think what Palestine was right, and at the same time, it's not a one-sided thing with me, and I think it starts with being honest about the whole situation over there. My biggest thing is I can't legitimize something that's got an untold story. It's almost like what goes on over in South Africa. When you be honest about, like, I know I'm not from America. This is not, I think the Indians are what an indigenous people over here were. I'm not a first thing over here. I know I'm an outsider in this country, and I accept that. I'm not going to try to overtake anything. And when you start by being honest with a whole situation, it takes away from all the confusion. And it's just ironic to me, like, a lot of people are stressing the biggest thing over there is the killing of the kids. And those are the same people who push for abortion, and we're not going to get all into abortion, but I believe innocent kids are off limits for killing. But you find a lot of people who stress the fact that innocent kids are dying over there, but then they turn around and they're pro-abortion. So I think that's a tangled web we weave, and I just hope they get everything together over there.
Right?
Yeah, it's very, very contradictory. So
yeah.
I just hope they get things together over there. And like I said, I got one of my best friends over there. Shout out to Oren, and I hope your son's
was
okay.
here.
Yeah, he came in here. Yeah, so that was before this all happened. Yeah.
He's good, though?
Yeah, he's good. His son's in the military. I think his son's over in Lebanon right now, or I think he's in Lebanon, but he's good. I talk to him on the daily, so he's good. Yeah.
Yeah, so like he said, like I started with, we can't speak too much to that yet. There's too much to be known. And I think too many people are speaking to it way too quickly. What I will say is that back in 2016 to 2020, so many of my liberal friends talking about how Trump's going to start World War III.
Facts.
Oh my gosh, Trump's president, he's going to start World War III. He didn't start a war.
None.
But since then, since Biden's been in office, we got 2 wars. Now, we're involved in Ukraine, whether you want to, like, we may not have feet on the ground, but we've contributed hundreds of billions of dollars to them and military equipment and who knows what else for it all to be wasted, by the way. Now, you can argue with me on that, but we should be America first. Now, whether or not we get involved in Israel and Palestine conflict, God, I hope not. Because, again, we should be America first. We're trillions of dollars in debt. We've got homeless people. We got homeless veterans. We got a drug epidemic. We got people pouring over our borders and a broken immigration system. We've got a fuel crisis because Biden depleted all our reserves. We got an inflation problem. We got a whole slew of problems that we need to fix and address right here. Now, that being said, all you idiots that are chanting this stupid thing that I quoted on these campuses, well, this is what we get when we allow politically motivated people control our classrooms. You get idiotic youth chanting shit they don't even know in masks. Same people that were doing the BLM riots, by the way. Actors. And then, of course, you got some Palestinians here as well that are supporting their cause. And my hope is that the Palestinians that are here are not cheering and supporting Hamas, but actually cheering and supporting for their people. That would be my hope. I don't know that that's true from what we've seen. And by the way, again, Palestinians, you're here on American soil. Don't you dare tear down our flag. You have the right to be here as an American citizen, but don't go tearing down our flag to replace it with yours. You can go home, back to Palestine, and do that shit. You wanted to be here for a reason. You fly under our flag.
I think that goes for anybody that comes over here. I think you need to respect the flag. But like we say, it's such a tangled web, man. It's so much, like you said, before jumping off into that deep end of that, it's just a lot that goes on, man, because I've been doing a little research and like a lot of people really don't understand it's levels to this, what's going on over there. You know, a lot of people don't even know, like Netanyahu, those guys are the ones who pumped up Hamas. So it's just a lot going on. I don't, like I said.
Well, here I'll say about that too. Netanyahu and whatever the leader of, I don't remember the leader of Hamas, what his name is, they're both paying members of World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Very interesting. It's so much we don't know about what's going on behind the scenes. And then another thing is, man, we all sign up for these political sides. Like I always say, it's like joining a gang. They could care less about people, the lies that they tell. When you put me up on the different foods that's banned overseas that they sell here, and you just, once you start peeling the layers of that onion, you're like, wow, they want you to be sick.
They want you to be sick so they can sell you the solution.
Sick. Yeah, they want you on these drugs.
That's their solution. They enrich themselves. The whole COVID play, and we'll get into that in a little bit, was enriching their buddies in Big Pharma, which then in turn enriched them because of their campaign contributions.
It's like, what is enough? You got billions of dollars, Bill Gates. All of these people have billions of dollars. You can't even spend that much money in a lifetime. I don't know if it's about the power.
It's about the power.
It's got to be the power.
That's why Bill Gates is going on the depopulation tour. But so actually getting into that now, we'll get off the war because I think we have a lot more to dissect there as time goes on. My biggest point with this right now is here in America, A, it's America first. B, love your neighbors. This divide in America again. Now, whether you stem from Israel or you stem from Palestine, you're in America now. You're American.
Yeah.
So act like one. Love thy neighbor. You're here now on our soil. You want to go fight and cause riots in the street? Get your ass back to the Middle East. That's my opinion. All right, number 2. The WHO warns painful mosquito-borne disease will become a major threat this decade. Quote, we need to really prepare. Well, that's a coincidence.
Is that the new COVID?
I don't know if it is or not, but it's a coincidence about that. Remember when Bill Gates released genetically modified mosquitoes this spring? Was that in Texas and Louisiana?
Yes.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, you didn't think it was going to come back around that quick.
But now the WHO is warning of a painful mosquito-borne disease that will become a major threat. Well, how could they predict that, E?
Well, because they got something up their sleeve and they're going to try to control the people again and make sure you stay in the house and be a little good boy and not go against the government. And Bill Gates is like this mad scientist right now. He's just a nutcase. It's just crazy what's going on.
Well, why is he buying up all the farmland, E?
You tell me. I don't know. to modify the foods that we eat.
Well, why is he talking about depopulation, E?
More women for me? No, I don't know, man. There's something there's something brewing behind the scenes with him.
Yeah, he's bought into the World Economic Forum and their 2030 agenda. And for those of you that don't know...
What is the 2030 agenda?
Well, so we don't have enough time to break that all down right now, but here's a little bit, right? So part of when we talked about this previously, part of the 2030 agenda is getting everyone on EVs, electric vehicles. So that is one of their goals. So now the WEF is seeing all of us that are waking up to their agenda and their negative, evil plans for our lives, and they're wanting to expedite those plans for us. And that's why we're being gaslit by all this stuff. That's why E and I can't go a month without seeing each other and doing a podcast like this without having to cover an infinite amount of topics.
It's just things are popping up. Bam, 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 bam.
Getting hit. We're not supposed to be hit with major shit like this. We never in our existence, human existence, have we been hit with this level of shit on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so you little think about this. And so you guys should look up World Economic Forum, know their nefarious ways. Now they come off as altruistic on their website and all that different stuff, but do a deep dive. Research the 2030 agenda. The reason they want electric vehicles in our hands in driving, even though we have zero infrastructure for that. I drove my buddy's Tesla for a week because he needed to borrow my truck. Mm-hmm. That thing will only go 200 miles. Now he has one of the older Model X's, so the battery's not as advanced as the newer ones. But we already talked about the battery mining and the slaves, all that goes through that. Yeah. And it's a limited resource. But either way, I'm not a Tesla. I'm not an EV person. I want my diesel truck. So I'm glad to have that back. That's the side note. But if you do a deep dive on it, what they'll have in that is a kill switch. Just like any smart device in your house. You want to put your HVAC on a smart device? Your prerogative. But when the state says, oh, we're experiencing record highs this summer and we're going to have to limit how much you run your air conditioner, boom,
you can't
shut off.
Drive. They can tell you.
Car, you stepped out of line and didn't go along with our narrative. You said something wrong about the government. Boom, shut down.
Yeah.
Next lockdown for COVID or this mosquito-borne disease. You can't leave your home. You can't leave your state. Boom, car shut off.
Prisoner of your own home. And they're moving into the banking too. They don't want you to have currency. They want it's all electronic currency. That's crazy, man.
Boom.
Tell you what you can buy and what you can't buy.
Shut down your bank account. Wow. And people know it's about control. They want to come off, again, altruistic, like this is a benefit for you. Mm-hmm. No, it's about them controlling you. And the more you wake up, the freer you're going to be. But I will warn you, the more you wake up, the more you get based, you're going to see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. But we need to wake up faster as a society because we're at a precipice point right now. We need to stop them before it's too late. So that being said, number 3, and this kind of relates back to number 2 when we talked about the WHO. Apple headline, COVID lockdowns were a failed experiment. You don't say. I'm glad you're finally catching up. They went on to talk about how it impacted small businesses. They went on to talk about how it impacted our youth and mental development. Schools. But people were saying that during the lockdowns.
Yeah. It affected the schooling a bunch. And I mean, it affected friendships. It affected everything. It was like that old Dr. Seuss, the star belly, sneeches, whatever those things were. You know, they thought they were better than the other ones. And, you know, a lot of people who got vaccinated looked at their friends and family that wasn't vaccinated as if they were immune to this, but they were the main one.
Well, no, they said it was a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Exactly.
And the media blasted that everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Until they got sick, and then it was still an excuse but okay, I got sick and I gave it to someone, but I'm not going to be sick as long as you. That's a personal thing, and I don't even think that worked at all either. It's just people are stubborn, and that goes on both sides. Republicans and Democrats, whatever. People are people, but facts seem to hurt a lot of people, and I've noticed that a lot of people are willing to, they're like drug addicts. You just got to let them be crazy until they just burn out and want to change. A lot of people see how bad the economy is. They see how much gas is. They see this crime, but they hate Republicans so much that they're willing to go back and vote for the same insanity and horrible lifestyle just to say, I voted against Donald Trump or any Republican. I don't care if I'm homeless. And that's just ludicrous to me. People are willing to live in shambles and suffer in life instead of voting for something that will make a change because they don't like that person.
Or they were told not to like that person.
Yeah, because I don't see how anyone could look at the economy right now, looking at all the wars, looking at all the crime, and the media I give it to them. The media is doing a great job. You know, I could say a lot of stuff that the average podcaster can't say, and it's just facts. The crime, and they had a bunch of black students beat up, killed a white student, right? And this isn't a black or white thing. Well, it kind of is, because if that had been a bunch of white students,
that would have been all.
It would have been all over CNN, and they would have been like
there would have been BLM riots.
Those white savages, and that goes either way. And if it was the other way around, I'm mad at anyone who are willing to jump a student and kill him. I don't care if you're black, white, Jewish, Muslim, Chinese. Wrong is wrong. But the news is pushing this narrative like, it's just certain things, man. If a white person say what I say, they're done. They're done. I heard a guy say the other day, I didn't get mad. I said, he's got a little truth to it. He said, you give a white person some money, they'll buy land. You give an Asian money, they'll buy a business. You give some black some money, they'll buy gym shoes, cars, and jewelry. I'm not talking for all black people. So before you get to running with this Uncle Tom narrative, these are facts. So if you want to help your kids in the next generation, accept truth sometimes and change that behavior. I was the same way. All I wanted was jewelry. I wish somebody would have told me to buy property or business with my money that I came across during my lifetime. So instead of embracing stuff and running with it and saying people are racist, learn from it. I'd rather buy a business or buy land instead of cars and jewelry. And I'm not speaking for all black people. Before you guys get your panties in a bunch, I'm just saying in general, that's what we're teaching our youngsters, is to idolize Jordans and jewelry. You see Deion Sanders with his players. Why ain't his players bringing deeds out to property and stuff? Influence the youth by doing that. So it's just a lot of stuff that's going on right now where people can't accept the truth and they want to have a boogeyman, and they're willing to sacrifice their lives and live in shambles just to prove a point that the other side is wrong.
Well, that's a good point. Like, stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. Mm-hmm. There's some truth in there. There's a shade of truth in there.
Yeah.
Right? So what you have to figure out is, instead of screaming racism or bigotry or whatever it may be like, oh, what's the truth in that?
Yeah.
And is there any truth of that for me? Like, do I need to take a look in the mirror?
Yeah.
And see, like, do I have this tendency, or do I have, or does my family believe this, or am I teaching my kids to value things that appreciate versus depreciate?
And learn from it. You can't be one to ride past a beautiful piece of property and say, I wish I had that property, but I'd rather go buy my gym shoes or jewelry or these fancy cars. And you see this big, beautiful house. Maybe you should learn and start investing your money into other things. But I think it's got to a point where everyone has their favorite team, and no one wants to get on the winning team. It's about my favorite team. I love being a Democrat for some people, and I don't care if the Republicans are winning. I don't care if this is good for me or not. I just love my team, and I'm a root for my team no matter what. I'm going to go down with the Titanic. And that's what's getting people in trouble. You know, you look at New York, you look at Chicago, they voted for the wrong team. Man up and say, a lot of people are waking up. Hey, I was on the wrong team. I'm going to get with the winning team next. But the machine, I tell people, there's no Democratic Party. There's no Republican Party.
It's a uniparty.
They're all horrible. They're the uniparty, and you just learned from Eric Adams out in New York. He spoke out against immigration. Biden is ruthless. They went and raided his offices the next day. They let him know, listen here, you're getting off the plantation, boy. You bet we'll come for you. And the next day, no, there's nothing wrong with immigration. We're going to be good over here. So the machine is real. The machine is big. And we We got to come together, people.
Yeah. So the COVID, that's a really good point to come together, right? Because the COVID lockdowns, whatever you believe about the pandemic, whatever you believe about the vaccines, there's still got to be some questions, right? Like even the Apple news source, and I can't remember exactly, I think it was Newsweek that wrote it, that headline that I just wrote, COVID lockdowns were a failed experiment. They're finally waking up, right? Or they're trying to cover for their own tracks, which is probably more likely.
They don't want the lawsuits.
Exactly. So you have to come to some realizations, like even like in that title of that article, they came to some realizations, or they're covering their tracks, whatever you choose to believe on it, that there were mistakes made.
Yeah.
And you also have to question, were they honest mistakes, or were there evil intent behind it? And so that's where I was, and you may have to question, hey, what I believe to be true about the vaccine, I got it because they told me this, and I, whatever. And now you're seeing some of these young people die. Now you're seeing death birth rate, or SIDS at an all-time high.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff's coming out. You have to admit that you were possibly wrong.
It was such a wise plan. It was for divide and conquer.
Well, it was not only divide and conquer, it was the largest PSYOP ever run worldwide.
Yeah.
So you got to remember death counters on a daily.
Yeah.
You got to remember when New York was pretending to put body bags and like on barges and shit.
We're running out of room.
We're running out of room.
And they got all of these hospital beds empty.
None of that was happening, and they ran a PSYOP on us. They literally put all the Joe Rogan thing's the most crazy thing to me. So the reason that they had emergency powers was because they went after ivermectin so much. Ivermectin was a proven therapeutic to cure this COVID variant.
Yeah.
So, but Biden or Trump or whoever, they couldn't have emergency powers if there was an effective therapeutic.
Yeah.
So that's why they had to go after ivermectin so much. So that's why they went after influencers like Joe Rogan so much, where they edited those pictures of him.
Made him look really green and pale.
Yeah. And then he showed the side-by-side. That's not exactly how I looked, because he went public and said that I took ivermectin and it cured me.
Yeah.
But that's why they went so hard. They said it's a horse medicine. Oh, Joe Rogan, Aaron Rodgers, they're taking a horse medicine.
Oh, they went hard after
so
anyone
hard.
who went against the grain. But I mean, it was like a weapon of mass destruction. I really feel China used it as a weapon. But not only that, it became a riot police. You notice before they sent out COVID, over in China, they were marching in the streets. They were, rebelling. And that just shut everyone down from rebelling. But I heard a guy tell me the other day, and it was a good quote. He said, I see thousands of people regret getting the shot. I see no one that survived COVID that didn't get the shot that says, oh, I wish I would have got the shot. You don't see anyone that's regret not getting the shot. But a lot of people who got the shot, they regret it. They're worried right now. They don't know what's going on. And the people who didn't get the shot, they're cool. They're like, I'm glad I didn't get the shot.
Team Pure Blood over here.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I was telling my Uber driver, we got in actually a deep conversation about this shit just randomly. And, that's always a risk with a stranger, right? You don't know what people are saying.
I didn't know Dr. Fauci was driving Uber.
Yeah, right. Yeah. He definitely wouldn't have agreed with me. I don't know that he would have made it out of that cab either. Right. But no, I'm in an Uber in Cleveland. Younger guy, 25, and he's going to med school. And he had to quit, otherwise he was going to be terminated.
That's horrible.
When he was working at a hospital because he refused to get the vaccine. Yeah. And he's like 25 now. I was like, hey, dude, good on you for sticking to your guns.
Oh, yeah.
And then secondly, and I was just saying this kind of a joking manner, I was like, you know how much your sperm, your blood's going to be worth someday?
I heard about that.
I was like, Team Pure Blood, like for real.
Yeah, they say women are searching for guys who didn't get the jab. And they're getting way more money than the guys who got the jab.
But even if I actually haven't heard that, but I'm just thinking, if there's going to be birth problems or if there's SIDS problem, like that's coming out as we speak, then yes, you want unaffected sperm.
They had that on the news. Now that you brought that up, they had it on the news. I was just glancing past, but they said women are seeking out men who weren't vaccinated at the sperm banks. You know, and that's ironic that I led in with that. Now I'm coming.
See, full circle, full circle, man. But again, whatever you believed about COVID, the pandemic, whatever, and this is just general, like you have to admit sometimes if you were wrong. And it was like you were lied to. So like those of us that didn't buy into it, I'm not going to like, I'm going to say, welcome to the team.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, like, I told you so. Like, I'm not going to rub it in your face and make you feel like an ass. I'm going to be like, hey, good on you for waking up.
You're so right, though, Josh. I mean, admitting to being wrong, but it was just the lack of common sense. It's almost like peer pressure where you see a kid at school and everyone's smoking cigarettes and weed, and the one kid's like, no, I don't want to do that. And it's like, loser, and they're trying to pressure you into doing something that you don't want to do.
They called us grandma killers.
Yeah, taking away people's jobs and livelihood, and it's just the lack of common sense. Like I always told people, I can see if you had a bulletproof vaccine that worked, and it would stop
years and years of testing.
Yeah, and I would be like, okay, I get it. That's going to save a lot of people. But when you know this vaccine doesn't even work. Like I always told people, you take something that you believe in. Like if somebody gave me a measles or a polio shot, I would walk into a village where everyone's got polio, but everybody who took the vaccine, they still mask up. Okay, since you got this bulletproof vaccine, go into an emergency room, don't wear a mask, and go into an emergency room where someone's infected with COVID. They wouldn't do it.
No.
They wouldn't, because you don't believe into that. You don't believe in that
vaccine. You didn't believe it yourself in the beginning.
There you go.
But yeah. So now that COVID lockdowns were proven to be a failed experiment, we got 700,000 plus businesses that will never be reopened.
It changed the
Small
world.
businesses.
It changed
and so
much.
you guys just think about this, right? Who did it benefit for all those businesses to close? It didn't benefit you. Didn't benefit you as a small business owner.
No.
Didn't benefit you.
No, shut
You know
it
who
down.
it benefited? Amazon. It benefited Walmart.
All the big companies
benefited the big pharma.
Yep.
And so, like, who does that benefit? It benefits the politicians. It benefits the uber rich people already.
Bezos.
The people that are controlling our moves as it is.
Yeah.
So all of you Democrats that took it and are bought into this and that supposedly hate the man, supposedly hate these billionaires, you just made them more rich. Do you freaking realize what you did?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're championing it for them.
But it made them feel good because it benefited their side. It was almost like a divide. Democratic love.
I just don't understand the hypocrisy of like how you didn't see that. You just you supposedly hate these billionaires. You supposedly hate these big companies, shop local. But yet you just shut down all the local spots because you were cheering for the Democrats to shut them down.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, how do you not see that?
That's crazy.
And now over 700,000 small businesses that employ the majority of your neighbors and friends and teenagers and everyone that helped build this country and make this country are shut down.
They haven't came back either.
And they haven't come back. And that's the thing, as we go further and further, like with high inflation and gas price and all these different things, is it easier to control 100 companies or 1 million if you're politicians?
Oh, shit, 100.
100,
yeah.
Right? So if we shut down all small business in America and we just go to these major corporations, does that benefit the Joe and Mary down the street? Or does that benefit Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett and all these uber rich people already?
It monopolized all businesses to the top, and the bottom businesses they were devoured. They were extinct. I went to BW3 the other day. There were like 2 people working there. Every business closes at 6, 7 o'clock. You can't even find anything to eat after 9 o'clock around here anymore. Places that used to stay open 24 hours, they're done. They're trying to make a small comeback. And not only that, it just divided friendships. It just divided so much.
And not to mention our youth that had to struggle or now way behind in reading, and particularly our inner city youth.
Mm-hmm.
So again, Democrats, the people you supposedly care about, the people that you have bleeding hearts for, the people that were worse affected, the most affected, were the people you supposedly care for, but yet you champion these lockdowns. You champion the Democrat policies. Like, wake the fuck up.
And don't get it twisted like we're some Republicans up here. they suck too. It's a bunch of Republicans that wanted it too. So we are not pro-Republican, anti-Democrat. We are just anti-establishment. We are anti-ignorance. We are anti-culture, cancel culture. They're all together, man. Yeah. And you realize how close these guys are when it comes to voting for wars. They all about the money. Look at it, Nikki Haley.
Yep.
What a devil in Prada.
Yeah. But they're all even Mike Johnson now, the new speaker, rooting for saying we're not taking funding away from Ukraine, and McCarthy. All of those guys are snakes. They're all warmongers because it makes them rich more, and it benefits the military-industrial complex. So we can't be like, we have to. And then furthermore, I think we talked a little bit about this last time, but if not, it bears repeating. We're sending our strongest men and women, our most patriotic men and women, to die.
Yeah.
And who does that benefit?
Yeah.
The political overlords, because then we don't have our strongest men and women, our most patriotic men and women here at home, where we could fight back against our political tyrants.
Yeah.
So speaking of, number 4, that was a brilliant segue by me.
You're a brilliant guy.
Number 4, military affiliation is today the single strongest predictor. Bet you don't know what I'm going to say next. Of extremist mass violence in America. Really? That's an interesting one.
That's very interesting.
So our people that would historically be named the most patriotic because they choose to risk their lives, put their lives on hold, sacrifice time with their families. Some of these people never see their kids grow old because they sacrifice their lives. Some of these people never see their kids ever. They're the single strongest predictor of extremist mass violence in America? I'm Ron Burgundy?
And on top of that, like they say, FBI stats is KKK members are the biggest threat to inner city violence. Like you got these guys.
Hold on. So real talk. You ever met a KKK person?
Never.
You grew up in the hood, right?
Yes.
You think a KKK person will ever come into the hood?
He wouldn't last 5 minutes in that hood. I'd have pillowcases out of his outfit, and so we'd have some good linen at home. But it's just such a farce.
No, like I like real talk. Like I've got a lot of brothers as friends, and I've always wondered. I'm like, hey, could you ever imagine a KKK member, skinhead, coming into the hood?
I just couldn't imagine seeing some guy with this white hood and a stolen car riding around, driving down the street in the hood with his little KKK outfit. That's just, man, I've never seen one, man.
But even without the outfit, a skinhead coming to the hood, how quickly would they be dealt with?
He'd be done. He would be done. Shit, if a guy had all the swastika tattoos at a bus stop, man, these kids would be all over him. So it's just crazy.
So, like, you have to see through the bullshit that they feed us, right? And this right here, what it's doing is trying to turn the people that say wouldn't volunteer their lives, wouldn't volunteer, sacrifice their lives to join our military, turn against the most patriotic Americans by calling them extremists, by saying they're going to commit mass violence in America. When in reality, bullet number 5, the Nashville School Covenant shooter, Audrey Hale, transgender, non-military. And their Death Day manifesto was covered up by almost every media source.
It had to be leaked. And they tried to, it's like, why would the sheriff's offices down there try to suppress that manifesto?
Because they were told to.
And it was the wrong narrative.
And it was the wrong narrative.
If that was a MAGA hat wearer, boy, that would have been headlines.
And look at all the past shooters that we've had. So I think at least 3 of them identified differently than their born sex.
Yeah.
Or identified with different pronouns.
Yeah.
These people, all right, look this up. Look up MK Ultra. Look up some of these CIA experiments. You'll quickly realize that there's a narrative that actually, and a thread that goes through that these people are activated by our CIA. They're sacrificing our youth. We'll say allegedly.
Yeah.
We'll say allegedly in air quotes. Sacrificing our youth to try and take the Second Amendment away from us. Now, some of you don't want to believe our government's that evil. But start looking at history. Looking at history.
It's just people are such hypocrites. People will read this manifesto and they're fine with it because this was a transgender person. But if I was to
they're fine with killing this person that killed how many kids? You think they're actually fine with it?
They're fine with it because if you scratch out a few words in there, it's a whole different narrative. If you want to kill all you little black kids, I hope I have a high death count. I hope victims are ready to die. You Democrats, man, it's a whole different story.
Oh, they would have pounded that through the media.
Then,
so I didn't read this part that E was just reading, you guys. If you haven't seen this Death Day manifesto, it is a little bit hard to find, but you can find it. Here's what it said. Some of the bullet points. Wanted to target crackers.
Put Democrats there.
Yeah, but what's a cracker?
White people.
White people?
That's what they say, white people. I eat them in my soup, but that's what they say in the hood. They call y'all crackers.
Right, it's a slang for people like me, right?
White people.
White people. Yeah. I get a good tan, though.
You're a saltine cracker.
Saltine cracker. Right now, in the wintertime.
You're an oyster cracker. Yeah.
The oyster.
See, now, if he was joking
with me. Do black people eat crackers, though, too?
We eat crackers. I like them in my chili or clam chowder.
Yeah. Good. The oyster crackers, though.
Yeah.
All right. No, but seriously, I'll get through this. So targeting crackers with white privileges. Now, keep in mind, Audrey, or whatever the name was, or the original name, I guess she wanted to go by Audrey. Audrey Hale is white herself, but I want to kill all you little crackers. I hope I have a high death count. I'm ready. I hope my victims aren't ready to die.
That's acceptable.
That was hidden and not put out in the media.
Yeah.
So you got to ask yourself why. Like why would they hide that? Because it doesn't fit the narrative.
It doesn't get to black people. It doesn't get to Democrats. It doesn't move emotions. And like I say, you change the wording in that, oh my God. Boy, people would be upset. BLM would be on your ASS. And the Democratic Party would be all over you. And I'm not just picking on the Democratic Party because there's so much I hate about both parties. Republicans aren't innocent in this either, you know. It goes both ways, but people have fake outrage. I care about everybody. I don't care what color you are. Wrong is wrong. And until we can accept wrong, like I always say, the truth hurts a lot of people's feelings and they refuse to accept the truth no matter what.
The truth is truth. Mm-hmm. I mean, so that's the thing is like, you're right though. People get so messed up in their feelings that they can't actually see what's in front of their face.
They hate facts. They refuse to accept facts, you know? Like you get these people with mental illness and we're legitimizing it. We are legitimizing mental illness. I heard something the other day about kids who go to school and identify as furries. I'm a cat.
You're just hearing this?
I'm just hearing this. Yeah.
Yeah, their teachers are having to get kids litter boxes because I thought it's a sexual fetish. No, here's the thing, like the people. Man, I cannot believe public schools have fallen so far that they're buying into the shit. Look, that is meant for, like, you want to be a furry, keep that shit in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, it's a sexual fetish, and we're allowing our kids to pretend that they're cats or dogs or whatever and get them litter boxes and shit.
We're going to let S&M students come in with the chains and whips next. So, Jesus, when does it stop?
We're sexualizing kids. Well, because they don't want it to. They're again, it's about divide. It's about demoralization. It's a demoralization. That's why they don't want faith in schools.
Yeah.
Because faith is righteous.
Yeah. Jesus. I thought that was a joke. Furries, but
no,
apparently
that shit's real. That shit's real. Wow. And actually, I've told some people this, and they've had the same response you have.
Yeah.
Because they can't believe that that's But that's where we've progressed to. We allowed the transgender thing, the ideology, to just permeate, and now it's gone down to this furry thing, which is again a sexual fetish.
When I heard about the litter boxes, I said, "You got to be kidding me! Litter boxes in classes? Jesus."
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't even know if my brain can comprehend going there and talking about that much more on this episode. But
so we got a big summit over in San Francisco, beautiful, clean San Francisco, right? The streets of gold.
So that's bullet 6 that we
Golden
had.
State.
Crime-ridden San Francisco cleaned up the streets for President Emperor Z, whatever he goes by, China's leader.
Well, he's kind of our leader too, because Biden's bought
and paid for by China.
Blackmail.
So interesting. So we have their corrupt governor, Gavin Newsom, who will probably be running for president next year. My opinion, if we have an election. By the way, I think they're going to. So remember how we were talking about who do we think the candidates were going to be?
Yeah.
You still thought it was going to be Biden?
I still kind of think it's going to be Biden.
I don't know if that's going to happen. I also don't know that an election is going to happen. They may use this war to.
I've been noticing that.
So did you notice what Ukraine just did?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Zelensky
said in March it's not the time for an election because of war, which means he's acting like a communist dictator.
Well, he's not acting like one. He's showing his true colors.
Correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not going to have an election or have a risk of being ousted because you've been getting your pockets lined by us U.S. taxpayers. Yeah. So you're going to keep all political opposition out, which he's done before, by the way. Zelensky's evil as all hell, and you guys think he's some sort of...
He's one of the worst guys. For me, with him, I don't know how anyone in his country could like him. He's such a money-hungry...
Do we know that they like him?
Oh, no, we don't get any media feedback from there. But he knew his people would be slaughtered, and it was like, for what? To be a puppet of the United States?
You know, he's a puppet of the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
And the United States and the UN are the biggest purveyors of it.
He said, I need money. Give me some money and I'll pay you back.
No, then he said, credit on credit. If you can't give me cash, give me credit. Oh, man, you guys, I can't believe. I think the Ukraine thing's really fallen off. I think a lot of people fell for it at first.
Yeah.
Russia's the boogeyman because Russia's always been the boogeyman in our country.
Yeah.
But I think it's fallen off. Yeah. And then people see Zelensky's true colors for the most part. I hope most of you do. If not, you really got to wake up on that regard because and you should be pissed that your tax dollars continue to fund everything outside of our country and not fix anything in our country. And then you vote for the same politicians. Like, definition of insanity is repeating.
The Ukraine thing is just insane, man. It's like, he signed up for a war that he couldn't win. Only way I can try to frame this is as if your sister at school goes in and gets into it with 3 of the biggest jocks on the football team and come get you and say, hey, let's go get these guys, knowing you're going to get slaughtered. Look at my sister like, you're on your own, sis. Why'd you slap the captain of the football defensive team? That was a war he knew he couldn't win, and America sat there and lied and said, we got your back. And
then blew up the Nord Stream pipeline.
Yeah, allegedly. And they lied about that.
Even though
the
military ran
Donald Trump got along with Putin. I mean, and you can drink the Kool-Aid instead of doing your homework. Putin's been on the right side of way more things than our American presidents. You don't see Putin invading a bunch of people. And this is not like the Israeli-Palestinian thing. These were parts of Ukraine that formerly belonged to Russia. Most of the people over there speak Russian language, and they wanted to branch off from this wicked, corrupted part of Ukraine, and Ukraine didn't want to let them go. And they could have negotiated a long time ago, but America kept interfering, saying...
And we were trying to build a military base there, and we had a bunch of other stuff going on.
They don't know about that part.
They don't know about that.
They don't want to drink that
That's getting
Kool-Aid.
too based.
Yep.
Anyhow, so we go back to this crime-ridden San Francisco. I mean, if any of you have been to San Francisco or seen San Franciscan pictures over the last 10 years, you would know what a shithole it turned out to. This beautiful, beautiful American city turned into an absolute shithole of people shitting on the streets, literally.
Yeah.
Piles of shit on the street from homeless, vagrants, drugged out people. And all of a sudden, it's cleaned up because President Xi is visiting. Xi, however you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then corrupt Gavin Newsom goes on TV and says, people want to say, and I actually got this imitation pretty good, I think. People want to say that we just cleaned up the streets because President Xi is visiting. And that's true.
He did. He said that.
Because that's true.
He said it out loud.
But it's also true that we've been talking about this for like 6 months.
With no action. We've been talking about it with no action. I think the funniest part was when a lady news reporter was talking about things getting better and she got robbed live on TV. I thought that was hilarious. They started stealing the cameras and everything. So by the way, for those of you that don't know, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, complete communist, who was just in China, visiting China for whatever reason, I don't know, now hosts President Xi. And 10 years ago, he was the mayor of San Francisco, and he had a 10-year plan to clean up San Francisco. That's how he ran and won as mayor. Yeah, yeah.
And it got worse and worse and worse under his leadership and then under governor. By the way, they're paying people, I think the director out there, I can't remember the title, but they're in charge of cleaning up homelessness in San Francisco, makes $300,000 a year.
Jesus, I need to move out there and be a cleanup
guy. But you think that someone that makes $300,000 a year has any incentive to clean up that if that's sacrificing their income?
You want to keep that place junky as you can and keep that income rolling in. It's crazy how he's doing more than Biden. Like, he's going overseas. He's just, everything Biden should be doing.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's shaping up that he's going to be the nominee.
I think you're onto something right there.
So because he's doing the things that a president would supposedly do with foreign relations or whatever. But it's just interesting to me that if you wanted to, you could clean it up.
Yeah.
And for a foreign dictator that comes over that essentially controls us, and you clean it up for him, but you won't clean it up for your own people.
It's making sense.
Isn't that interesting?
It makes total sense, like what you just said before. I used to always say, why does it take so long to pave a road in the summertime here? They stretch it out. The maintenance, the street crew guys, they stretch it out. They don't want to build these roads overnight and get the job done. They stretch it out. And like you say, these guys don't want to clean that place up. If you're making $300,000 a year and you get this place all nice and clean and now they're like, well, we don't need you anymore. No, keep it junky. I want to stay employed. Just like anything else, we want to keep you sick, you know. And it's crazy. I saw a thing on the news this morning about Portland decriminalizing drugs, harsh drugs, and that is just backfiring big time out there. It is just terrible out in Portland and Oregon.
Did they release the prisoners that got put away for drugs?
Oh, no.
Well, why? I mean,
they didn't do that.
Just like how we decriminalize marijuana, but don't release the prisoners that went to jail for.
You're messing with their money now.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, sorry for being rational. But yeah, it's just that just fascinated me and also kind of pissed me off. And it should piss off especially the people that live in San Francisco. If you truly cared about the problem, if you truly cared about the people that were living like this, and all of a sudden you can clean it up for a dictator from a different country, but you wouldn't clean it up for those people. Like, what are we doing?
I don't know, man. It's a hot mess, Josh. At night I stay up sometimes and say, what's the solution? What's the solution? It's easy to just talk about everything, and there's just hardly any answers. I have answers, but no one wants to put it into effect. You know, we're being softer on. I don't mind being soft on nonviolent crimes. I don't mind being soft on drugs, whatever. But when it comes to stealing cars, kidnapping, rape, and knocking an old lady across the head and pistol whipping people, and you let these people right out the next day, I have a problem with that. And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And people are not willing to learn what's really going on in America. Like I say, you vote for the dumbest reasons. You get women that'll vote for Newsom because he's good looking. Don't know anything about his policies. Then you go to Chicago. Oh, he's a black mayor. I'm just going to vote for him. He's been a disaster. People, and then you get Republicans sitting at these Republican conventions clapping on Nikki Haley and inviting Chris Christie and getting mad at anyone who's for America. I mean, the Republicans are just horrible. They are really turning on any candidate that's pro-American, America first. They can't stand Matt Gaetz and Jordan and Green or any of these people that are American first. Man, the Republicans, they have really shown their true color. Fox News included. Oh, they're a bunch of warmongers. They are the war machine. And I remember you told me here, hey, that's controlled opposition. I had no clue what you were talking about, but I like to read and results come in, and I'm like, Josh was 100% right. Fox News is no better than CNN. It's all about the money. And I should have known who's sponsoring. Brought to you by Pfizer. Says it all.
Moderna.
Yeah. Tucker Carlson, you got to go. You're opening up Pandora's box.
Yep, he gone.
Yep.
I love Vivek, though, in that last debate.
But to let Fox News tell you he lost.
Well, whatever.
He got shredded by Nikki Haley.
I'm just talking about that one soundbite.
He won by far, too.
Where he went after the Republican leader, I can't remember her name.
Oh, the DNC, the RNC.
And he's like, the
chair?
DNC would, the RNC chair. He's like, the DNC would never have Greg Gutfeld moderate a debate.
Exactly.
And that's true.
Exactly.
And like, he's like, we should have Tucker, we should have Elon, we should have Joe Rogan. Mm-hmm. You'd have 10 times the viewership, and we'd actually have some questions that matter to the people.
I like
He
Trump.
was absolutely right.
I like Trump, but he's
so regardless if you won that debate or whatever, I don't care about that. But that soundbite right there, he was 100% right and spot on, and everyone needed to hear what he said there right there.
He was right about a lot. I love me some Trump, but when it comes to Vivek's way sharper. He's a quicker thinker, and he spit them facts out. He spit them facts out. Like Trump would have never got under that news media skin by getting the elephant out of the room early. He said, "Why don't you apologize for being wrong about the Russia hoax?" They were like, "Oh."
She smiled like she knew. She smiled. She goes, "You pushed." He goes, "You pushed that Steele dossier bullshit for years."
Admit it. They still can't admit it.
She just does the side smirk, like, got me, but I'm not going to admit it.
I'm not going to give you that. Yeah. And he also got Nikki Haley too. He told her, "You coming at me about TikTok? Your daughter's on TikTok, and don't bring my daughter. That's the hypocrisy. I can call you out on it, but my kids can use it." So.
Yeah, hypocrisy's bad with all sides, with both sides. And that's where we need to take hard looks at ourselves. Be like, hey, they're right on this, or hey, my party is wrong on this. The people that I typically vote for are wrong. And like, you can actually say that. You don't have to align yourself with 100%. Oh, and lastly, Ohio voters, a obscene amount, on the abortion thing. That's a below the line issue.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it was 90%. Right. The abortion thing passed in Ohio, where they're protecting women's rights in that regard, which fine.
I don't care about that.
Fine.
Destroy yourself if you want.
But that whatever. The point being though is, when it comes to a big election, whether it's governor, senators, president, that can't be your main issue.
Yeah.
The LGBT thing, that can't be your main issue. The gun thing, that can't be your main issue. Like, all those things are below the line. We have to care about crime, economy, immigration, the thing that affects all of us, the things that's going to affect our future the most. And then once those things are fixed, then we can worry about all the little things they get us to fight about.
It tells you who you are as a party. It tells you who you are as a human being. When your biggest concern in life, instead of your grocery bill, your gas prices, your rent going up, forget about all of that. I'm interested in killing babies. When that's your best thing going for you, is murdering kids. Who are you as a human? That's your best thing that's going for you. Just think about when all the worst things in life are the best thing that are going for you, as far as COVID killing a bunch of people. It benefited Democrats so much. That was the best thing that ever happened to them. The shutdown, mail-in ballots, and abortion. That's the thing that you root for. Killing babies. It's not like.
But they care about the kids in Gaza.
Oh yeah. Right? Oh yeah.
They just don't care about the unborn kids.
They don't. And I mean, like I said, that's another slippery road you can go down. And I'm not here to tell a woman what they can do. To me, I think you got a price to pay with the man above. And that's on you, but it's just sad because you want to step away from that, but then you're saying, I don't care about that unborn baby. So you got to be in the mix a little bit, but I do get it. Some Republicans are extreme on that. They're too extreme. And I can't knock them. I mean, well, the extreme part, I can't knock them, but I don't knock a person that really cares about unborn kids. And that's something that if you lose having a stand for the unborn, I can live with that because you're doing it for a good cause. You're standing up for an unborn child.
They can't fight for themselves.
I can accept that. If you go down on your sword and you lose because that's what you stood on, but when you're rooting, I want to kill babies. It's not people saying it's the health of the mom. It's that choice thing. I have a choice. Anybody have a right to kill somebody.
What's interesting is some people are going to hear you say that and they're going to be like, no one wants to say they want to kill babies. Oh yeah? You ever been to an abortion rally? You seen the signs?
Yeah.
You want to think twice about what because you may be sitting there as a person and say, oh, no one says they just want to kill babies.
Yeah.
Well, you go to an abortion rally or pro-abortion and you see signs that are just disgusting. So you can't say no one. There are people out there making disgusting claims and saying disgusting things about unborn children. So anyhow, I just want to throw that in because you said I could hear someone on the other end listening to E say that right now. Like, oh, no one said, well, bullshit.
It's Judgment Day. There's going to be a Judgment Day for all of us. And I don't know, man. I just really wish people would get rid of the hate, look at facts, let the truth set you free. But that's a hard thing to do because everyone has their favorite team. The truth hurts everyone. No one can just see facts. Everyone's biased and everyone doesn't realize how messed up you are to hate another person because they think different than you. Somebody that follow the rules and someone that follows facts over fantasies. And just, you can't hate a person because they don't agree with mental illness. They're not an evil person, Now, if someone just say, I hate you because I just hate you for no reason, that's different. But if someone doesn't agree with you, you have to learn to disagree, And we're not always right about everything. I've been wrong about a lot of stuff in my life. I'm not going to consider myself righteous and right about every decision I made. Sometimes you got to accept the facts when you're wrong.
Yeah. And it can be hard, but it's a human thing, right? And that's where we got to get to as Americans, as a human race. Is hey, I was wrong,
and you feel so much better when you get it. Listen, there was so much stuff I was wrong about, and I'd be like, oh, now I say, wow, I was so wrong. I used to hate people who were speaking the truth. I would hate them. When I was on that Democratic plantation, I'd be like, how dare you say that about Barack Obama? You Uncle Tom, you sell out. I used to be on it. Then I started saying, whoa, they were right. I was so wrong.
And I was the opposite, right? Because I was conservative up until around that time. And then I started going to D.C. and seeing these guys play together and lie right to my face. And I left the Republican Party. So I'm the exact opposite as you. So like you wake up, you have your moments where you start to wake up and you realize the game that's being played on you. And we're the pawns in their game. And that's why you need to research the World Economic Forum. That's why you need to research Agenda 2030, I should say. And you need to understand that they are leading us down a path towards total control. Whether you want to call it communism or not, I know that word's kind of, taboo amongst folks.
Yeah.
Don't care what word you call it. They want to control us 100%.
That's so true. And you can't be so biased that it's good when it's on my team. Like, I hated when the Republicans were the warmongers. And a lot of them still are. But that Iraqi war, I thought it was horrible. And it was the Republicans who started cancel culture. I didn't agree with that, and I don't agree with the Democrats doing it now, or the Republicans. You got Republicans trying to suppress free speech too. So I'm not down with anyone. I don't care who you are. But then you get people on certain sides, like you get Republicans, it's fine if it happens to them. You got the ACLU getting involved with council culture that goes against everything they were built for. You got, Jesus, it is just crazy that you got warmongering Democrats. Now, I thought that was a party against war. Wearing the little lapel, the little pendant.
Well, they were in the
Ukraine.
70s.
Yeah, it's just.
They were in the 70s. Not so much anymore. Now, you got the Ukraine pins.
You got the Uniparty. They all love war now. Everybody loves a good war. Nikki Haley, she's just a work of art.
Bomb everyone. Bomb everyone. That's
everyone.
That should be their new slogan.
Yeah.
So chime in on this episode. We'll put up. We'll say hashtag bomb everyone. Tell us what you think. We had 6 topics today, and here's what I'll leave you with: leadership and review. On the Israel-Palestine thing, I have Palestinian friends. I have Israeli friends. I reached out to all of them and said I was thinking about them. I don't know enough to chime in, to pick a side. Not trying to do that. What I do say to them is that I'm thinking about you, I care about you, I'm here to talk. And I would encourage you to do the same. Regarding all this other stuff, start to see through the news and media. Like, again, I've said this before, but if politicians, doesn't matter which side, I'm not saying Democrat or Republican, I'm saying politicians, the media, and Hollywood all line up on one side, you should be on the other.
Yeah, that's so true.
Okay? That should be your general modus operandi.
That's so true.
Okay? If those 3 institutes line up on one side, you immediately get on the other side. Because you know they're trying to do some shady shit or lead us down a path towards total control. All right. So we know that there's a lot to work on in our country, but we're going to continue to work towards united, not divided. And all these things that they put in the media to throw gasoline on the fire, to gaslight us with wars, with race baiting, with guns, with abortion, with all of it. They're preying on our emotions to divide us. If you go and talk to your neighbor, if some shit went down in your neighborhood, you wouldn't ask your neighbors who they voted for. You just go help.
Exactly.
And so we're far more alike than we are different. And yet we keep falling into their trap of dividing us. So the leadership we need is unification and not bullshit like some of these politicians are saying we need to unite. Some of them will say that every once in a while. They don't mean it because they want to continue ruling us in their game.
Keep shaking that jar.
Keep shaking that jar. So, any final words?
Common sense don't cost a dime. So use your common sense. That's all.
I always love when you say disagree, but don't disown.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you cannot. We can always disagree. Just don't disown,
See the humanity in the other person sitting across from you, beside you, whatever. All right, y'all. Remember, the good and great are the enemies of possible. Lead like a Spartan today.